This is Shauna Rappaport. I am the Director of Engagement with VERGE. We're here at VERGE San Francisco, and I am very, very pleased to be joined by Matthew Nordan, who is the Managing Partner of MNL Partners.
That's me. Thank you.
That's you, Matthew. Thank you so much for joining us today. You had a riveting closing conversation with Amory Lovins this afternoon about
good chat.
The dynamism between efficiency and innovation and the right mix of both. You are very smart when it comes to the landscape of energy. What keeps you hopeful? What makes you optimistic about where we are right now?
So I think the big thing is that it's easy to get bummed out, about ongoing coal plants and about, sort of U.S. opposition to action on climate change, but we're actually winning.
What does that mean, winning? Winning against what, and what does actually winning look like?
So last year, something like, and I'm not going to remember the number specifically, but something like 45% of all new generation built everywhere in the world was actually renewable.
Renewable, yeah.
Including hydro, but renewable, and most of that being solar and PV.
Yeah.
In China, more than half of all new power that was built was renewable. That's a big deal.
That is a really big deal.
We're like halfway through the marathon here.
So what are, from your perspective, some of the greatest challenges that we face, the barriers to really just optimizing that opportunity?
I think it differs so much on where you are in the world. I mean, in the US, where I think a lot of the folks who attend this conference are focused, we're really challenged by a low natural gas price, which sets the cost of everything else and sets the economic envelope in which everything else has to operate. And let's face it, we're paying what, like $3.50, $4 a million BTU for natural gas, down 2 to 3 times from where it was 10 years ago. That's a big deal. If you go to some place like China, which is where my firm focuses, that same natural gas is $17 a million BTU when it hits the port. It's more than that when it's at the end of the pipeline and is being used in a city. That means whether we're talking about waste to fuel technology, about solar, about wind, about electric vehicles, they have a totally different economic envelope to operate in, and it's resulting in much faster adoption than we see here.
I'm curious, we focus with VERGE on practical, scalable solutions,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Clearly there are a lot of barriers and forces at play in a very complex system, subsidies, you name it. What are some of the solutions at a global scale, since you bring a really unique and valuable global perspective? What are some of the models, the solutions, the technologies about which you're most excited?
Well, it's funny, for the audience here, I think one of the biggest things is transparency about problems. If you look at industries that have been very successful at harnessing an innovation ecosystem to do the things they want done, what they've been great at doing is publishing their problems. Like the semiconductor industry, for example, publishes this thing called the ITRS, the International Technology Roadmap for Semiconductors, and it basically is Intel's way of saying, here are all the things we can't solve. Because we can't solve them, they must be valuable, go figure it out. And without them having to pay people money or enlist hordes of R&D folks or whatever else, they mobilize every university researcher, every startup guy in semiconductors, every venture investor around the problems they want to solve. I think that buildings can do a better job of that, the built environment. I think the auto industry can do a much better job of that. It's probably the one thing that would make a bigger leverage point in getting the innovation ecosystem behind these issues.
My last question for you is a personal one.
Okay.
You talk a lot about the specifics and where the industry is going and the technology. What motivates you? What gets you up out of bed every morning?
So I have 2 daughters. They're 10 and 12. They're going to live a lot longer than I are. They're going to live to see a planet that has north of 10 billion people in a way that I probably won't. It's people times stuff per person times resources per unit of stuff that determines what their future looks like. I want them to have a better one.
So do we. Thank you for your vision and your leadership and for being with us at VERGE. Really glad to have you with us. Matthew
Thank you,
Nordan.
Sean.